Depending on what team you are a fan of, you're either feeling kind of good about yourself, not so sure, or you're already starting to think about tanking for a quarterback in 2024. The Bears! Anyways, so let's take a look back at the week that was. A little late here, but nonetheless, I'll still do it. Week 3 of the 2023 NFL season. It all started on Thursday night where Brock Purdy threw for over 300 yards. The 49ers defense held the Giants to under 200 yards of total offense. And the Niners comfortably got past the Giants 30-12. Shifting over to the Sunday lineup, Deshaun Watson had a bit of a rebound performance for him. The Browns defense absolutely dominated, and they easily dispatched with the Tennessee Titans 27-3. The Lions defense held down Bijan Robinson and Desmond Ridder. Sam Laporta had a really good day for the Lions, their rookie tight end, and Detroit won 20-6. The Packers struggled early. It was not a pretty matchup, but that is something that good teams do sometimes. They win games they absolutely should lose. And let's be clear, the Packers absolutely should have lost that game on Sunday. The Saints should have had them dead to rights, and they didn't. Packers rallied with 18 unanswered points to squeak by the Saints 18-17. Miami's offense, what more can you say? I'll talk more about that in my 2-minute drill. They had a historic day. They absolutely obliterated the Denver Broncos 70-20. That's just insane. Was it over 300 yards passing, over 300 yards rushing, 700 plus total yards? Just insane. And they could have set, a regular season record for most points scored if they kicked the field goal late, and they didn't do so. So hats off to Mike McDaniel for that. The Vikings and Chargers both seem to want to refuse to win. Brandon Staley in his decision late in the game to go for it on 4th and short deep in his own territory could have backfired. It might have been the impetus to get him fired, except the Vikings didn't convert. TJ Hawkinson should have caught that ball from Cousins. Should have been a touchdown. Instead, it was a pick. Game over. The Chargers somehow, some way defy the odds, and they win the game that they clearly didn't want to win, and neither did the Vikings, 28-24. The Jets offense had another ugly day. Yikes. Meanwhile, the Patriots get their first win of the season. Mac Jones has looked solid so far this year. They win 15-10. Sam Howell certainly played like a 5th rounder on Sunday against the Bills. That's what happens when you go up against a pretty damn good defense. He threw 4 picks. Bills absolutely obliterate and dominate the Commanders 37-3. Meanwhile, when you talk about young quarterbacks, how about 2nd overall pick rookie C.J. Stroud? He's playing like a seasoned vet right now. Really impressive what he's doing in Houston. And the Texans surprised the Jags 37-17, and let's be clear, they didn't surprise them alone. They whooped them. They dominated them. They spanked that ass. If you're a Texans fan right now, you're starting to feel a little bit better about your future. DeMeco Ryans gets his first win as a head coach. Hey, things could be much, much worse. The Colts rode Matt Gay's leg to 5 field goals, including a 53-yarder in overtime. Colts get past the Ravens without Anthony Richardson 22-19. And look out now, the Colts all of a sudden are 2-1. The Seattle Seahawks overcome Andy Dalton's 361-yard passing day. They beat the Panthers 37-27. The Chiefs, as no surprise to anybody with a brain, swiftly put the Bears away in a one-sided 41-10 total domination. The Cowboys Sunday were asleep at the wheel, and you got to give credit to the Cardinals, head coach Jonathan Gannon. They're not a good team. Everybody knows it. But they're playing above themselves right now. They've been competitive in every game, and it paid off for them on Sunday. Josh Dobbs gets his first win as a starter. Cardinals win 28-16. On Sunday night, God, I can't believe we had to suffer through this on Sunday night. The Steelers defense picks off Jimmy Garbage Pail 3 times. They sack him 3 more times. Beat the Raiders 23-18. And then, of course, we got another doubleheader on Monday night. DeAndre Swift had over 130 yards rushing. A.J. Brown had over 130 yards receiving. The Eagles' defense dominated Baker's Bucks, and they win 25-11. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase come to life a little bit. Jamar Chase's first 100-plus receiving yard game of the season. The Bengals have enough to hold off the Rams 19-16 in a game, honestly, that they really, really needed to win. They needed to get to 1-2. They couldn't start off 0-3. Now, switching over to talk about the stars of the week, I'll go to quarterback first. Justin Herbert, 40 of 47 for 405 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just an insane performance in a game that the Chargers absolutely had to have. Running backs, I look at Devon A-Chain. This was somebody you saw me talk about in the draft process. I really liked the speed, and when the Dolphins drafted him, to get his speed in the backfield unleashes all types of potential and possibilities, and you saw that on Sunday. He had 22 total touches, 233 yards, and 4 fucking touchdowns. Just incredible. Miami's got their difference-making back now. Watch out for that offense. Keenan Allen, speaking of Chargers, had a big day. 18 catches, 215 yards. Keenan Allen's just one of those really damn good receivers that I feel like sometimes we just don't talk about enough. And then Sam Laporta had 8 catches, 184 yards, and a touchdown. And I believe he's the first tight end in NFL history, if I got this stat right, with 5+ receptions, 50+ yards in each of his first 3 games. Like, certainly justifying the high second-round pick that the Lions spent on him. Lastly, I look at the Bills' defense. They only allowed 3 points. They forced 5 turnovers. They made it a very comfortable performance for them on Sunday. In terms of winners and losers for week number 3, we'll start with the winners. I'll go with the Houston Texans. You know, they seem to have gotten the guy at quarterback. I'm not surprised about that. If you got that guy at quarterback, man, everything starts to look better a whole lot quicker. To go on the road like they did and beat the Jags in the fashion that they did, that's some impressive shit. Similar for the Indianapolis Colts. They didn't have Anthony Richardson in this game. He was out due to concussion protocol. Gardner Minshew and the Colts had enough. They got past the Ravens, and now you're talking about the Colts are at 2-1. They're at the top of that division with the Titans. And then the Green Bay Packers. Again, I talk about on Sunday, I watched that early game. They should have lost that game. Jordan Love was not great early. Their defense was giving up big plays to the Saints. They just had no business winning that game, and they found a way to win it. That's what good teams do. That's what playoff teams do. They win games that they shouldn't win. In terms of losers, the New York Jets, it's going off the rails here pretty quickly. All those hopes for Aaron Rodgers unrealized, and now, you're feeling like it's a lot like last year. The Denver Broncos, 70 goddamn points they allowed. I was expecting to come into this season and say, hey, Russell Wilson still stinks, and the reality is Russell Wilson has been better. He's not the problem right now, and people need to stop acting like he is at this particular moment. Yikes. Really, really bad. Vance Joseph has done some bang-up work with that defensive unit. And then the Dallas Cowboys. You just can't lose to the Cardinals like that. That's unacceptable, inexcusable. That was bad. They laid an egg when that should have been a game they should have been able to easily win. But to the 2-minute drill, I want to talk about the Miami Dolphins for the moment. And here's a perfect example of where a little bit of patience sometimes can pay off. But more importantly, it's about getting it right for how you build around your fucking quarterback. Look, I will always maintain the Miami Dolphins should have chosen Justin Herbert over Tua Tagovailoa. You're never going to convince me otherwise. Sorry, Tuanon, go crazy on me all you want, but it's fucking true. That said, what the Dolphins have done the past couple of years, the drafting of Jalen Waddle, the big trade for Tyreek Hill, the hiring of Mike McDaniel, an offensive play-calling wizard, to be the head coach. You got Tua away from the diarrhea disaster that was fucking Brian Flores, who couldn't know how to manage a young quarterback if it bit him in the fucking ass. This is a lesson for other teams. Bears. Is build the right offensive infrastructure around your goddamn young quarterback. Build your offense to his skill sets. Tua does not have a rocket arm. But what he does have is the ability to throw with anticipation, throw with really good ball placement, especially over the middle of the field. And that's the shit that they do. They bring in 2 wide receivers in Hill and Waddle that are yak monsters. Now you bring in some speed in the backfield in A-Chain, and you've got all these different looks and the way that they deploy motion and everything. If you're looking at this is how you want to set up a young quarterback for success, what Mike McDaniel is doing as a head coach and play caller, what Chris Grier has done in the past year or two as general manager for a guy that I said should have been fired, shouldn't have gotten a chance to get a third head coaching hire under him. He got the fucking head coaching hire right, and he's made some good moves, so I got to give him credit. But other teams need to take notice of this shit. If you draft a young quarterback, you have to prioritize his development. That comes with an offensive-minded head coach. That comes with skill talent around him. That comes with protection on the offensive line. Even when you look at the Dolphins, even that's a little shaky, but they invested big money in Teron Armstead. Draft and develop your quarterback. Put them in the best situations to succeed, and it's amazing what can fucking happen.